Okay, and we're back. Back with the perfect, the good, the bad, and the ugly of Smite 2. Pretty much it's kind of like a opinion. Yeah, well, it does say opinion, but like it's an opinion piece. Just like pretty much just gonna tell you like how I thought about the alpha, like what's good about it, what's bad about it. You know, as the title says. So let's just get into it. I think probably the best thing that that was shown in the alpha was combat blink. I think easily that made the game just so much more enjoyable. Actually being able to have access to a blink, especially a combat blink, which I think they were too scared to add it into Smite 1 now because they think it will be broken, even though it really wouldn't. It would actually give squishies another option of defense. Like I know a lot of people on Twitter like were saying, "Oh, it wouldn't be fun to get 5-man combat blinked on." Yeah, probably not. But if they're wasting 5 combat blinks to kill just one person, a combat blink that has a 240 second cooldown, are you that's value. Like I don't know how else to put that. That's value. A 60-second death timer and a 4v5 for a whole team's combat blink. That's basically borderline. That's literally better than forcing, maybe not forcing, better than forcing a ult for a fight, but that will last for multiple fights in the future. So even then that wouldn't make sense. And you could say, yeah, they're only gonna, you might like blink, like only people that are really gonna blink on you is the support, solo, and the jungler as a backline. And if they do that, you just blink away. Like you trade 3 blinks for 1 blink. So I didn't even know what people were talking about even then when they were like, oh yeah, you're just gonna get 5-man blink. No, you just blink away after that. You don't like, because beads, I think it's literally factually better to have blink than beads, because instead of getting hit, you can just, dodge getting hit in the first place. Now when Ares comes in the game, it'll be like, how? I don't know. I think they literally just have to rework Ares. I just don't think it'll work in Smite 2, because like you have to either have a really good support, or you would just have to keep your distance all the time. Or you probably would be like forced into buying beads if it was Ares, which honestly, building like I said, like the item system is just the item system is good enough now to where if you really need to, you probably can, because you're not sacrificing too much, because every item isn't just a bloated stat stick, and missing 1 bloated stat stick isn't going to hurt you badly and give you such a huge gap that you can't even close it, especially for something like bead that is granting you so much more safety. So honestly, they might be able to implement it, but backline have to learn, yeah, you can't just always go full damage. Sometimes you're going to be forced to build a defense item to get utility out of it. But also supports have so many tools to stop an Ares ult. They have the stasis item, and they have the cleanse all your teammates of CC, which kind of just wrecks Ares. So you just need 2 people in your team that have that, like your support, and I don't know, probably one of your backline will have it. Probably the mid. Usually ADCs don't like to build any defense whatsoever, usually, or any utility. They're more just kill bots. So you get 2 of those in your team. I think because I think it has like a 90-second cooldown or something like that, or 2-minute cooldown. Either way, Ares ult isn't getting much shorter than a minute. So unless he's literally ulting you off a cooldown for those 6 seconds he has. Well, I guess cooldowns are different in Smite 2, so I guess he could just rush full cooldown. But anyways, the next one is item changes have been more or less perfect. I don't really have any complaints on the item system. Like I used to, I didn't like it at first, just because it was like, I'm like, oh, we're just copying League, and I know I hate how League does their item system. So I was like, oh, I'm just gonna hate this. But when you actually like get to play and like you actually understand the items, I don't understand the items in League. I just buy in League when I try to play it. But now, since it's Smite, a game I actually understand, put time into, it's actually way better than how Smite was doing it. Just because the power curves and your pretty much your power curves are significantly better. It's not just a power spike. it's an actual curve now. So that's really good. And then also just the uniqueness of the items are significantly better now. Like a whole stasis, we have a whole stasis field finally, which I think I know Paragon had it, and now their clones have it. And I don't know why we just didn't have it in the game. Maybe it was too old of a system, I don't know. But other MOBAs have it. They have a team-wide beads cleanse now, since beads is on no longer cooldown, and you can actually do fun stuff like that. You have all the I think all the actives from Smite are in there, or all the relics are in there, I want to say. You're not all, but like most. Like I know, is there a shell? I don't think there's a shell. I don't remember there being a shell. I know there's a team hill, the mushroom. I know there's beads. I know there's blink. I know there is what else? Phantom, or I guess Phantom Shell now. Used to be Phantom. I don't think there's an anti-heal one, but there's not really much healer, so that's probably why we wouldn't really get much value out of getting that right now. But you know, the point stands. It's just a lot more unique items. Like there's an item where you turn into a whole boar and can like knock someone up. Like that would never happen in Smite 2 or Smite 1. There's an item that turns you invisible, which even though it's int focus item, I still build it on junglers. Like think about Thana coming up next to you, you not even know he's there, and he depth size you. Like you're like, okay, I guess I just don't get to play the game. And you really don't. On side note, Thana was definitely busted in the playtest. Bro had so much movement speed and so much damage just from the ability of being like one of the only people to have access to flat pin. And on top of that, they gave him a damage boost for his 2 also, which was crazy. So he had infinite speed basically. You were never going to catch him. If he 2'd, you may as well just turn to someone else. And then his damage was just insane. But nonetheless, and also the only semi-global besides Athena and aerial ult, a dunk, if you will. But yeah, item changes, perfect. Like I really don't have any complaints. Like the only minor complaints you can maybe say are the balancing of it, like beads, not beads, potions. Potions are a little wonky. I know a lot of people want like a separate potion tab, but I don't think it really matters because you don't have any active items early game, so you may as well just put it on the bar and like reduce the amount of buttons you have to press, because like you already have your wards, which wards usually will be what takes up your slot, your potion slots now, or your consumable slot now. I don't know what else you would really want. I think an interesting change would be like you can have a potion refill, or you can have a ward refill. I think that would actually be pretty cool. I think that would be pretty banger. Or do something else with the wards. Don't just have it be wards. Have like other defensive utility that you can use, like a trap, for example. That like roots enemy if they step over it. That'd be actually pretty cool. It's just ways of denying area. But I think wards will always just be stronger, just because being able to have vision and being able to hit people over walls is just so good, and just knowing where they are. But yeah, I think wards too, that's a different thing. The buffs are pretty good right now. I like the fact that they upgrade. I like that they start at level 1 now already, so you can just pick up a buff and go. I like that you can stack it finally. So like, because a lot of time in the playtest, people don't ever pick up their buff. So if I'm jungling, I usually just pick up the buff. And usually it's actually pretty good to stack buffs on jungler. The only buff I wouldn't stack is the solo buff, just because they're guaranteed to fight pretty much all the time. If your mid is a low clear mid, you probably want them to get the caustic buff, just so they can have an easier time clearing. And to be honest, I really don't know what purple buff even does. I'm pretty sure it's like a debuff aura after you hit them with ability. It's either a debuff aura like for protections, or it's you hit them with ability and then they get debuff, like a stone binding type. I forget which one, but it's one of those. So that's actually pretty good on the jungler, because then you get even more pin, because I think they put pin on, I know they put pin on the speed buff once you upgrade it, so that's actually really good in combination. So it's just, that's actually a really good combo, and you don't really need that too much in lane, as long as you don't really fight. But I guess it's dueling, you're probably going to fight, kind of hard not to. But yeah, I just like the buff changes. The only part that's not quite perfect is you have to do 3 buffs to hit level 2 instead of just doing 2 buffs. So you can't do speed to purple gank level 2. You can't do back harpies to speed buff level 2. You have to do 2 back harpies and then speed buff, or you have to do back harpy, speed buff, purple buff, and that just takes a long time. But I get it if they don't want like early jungle ganks. Honestly, level 1 jungle ganking might not even be bad, just because, yeah, because it's not like you have to track all the way across the map to get like to a buff, because pretty much all the buffs are up and no one starts on buffs anymore. Maybe duo kind of starts on buff, but pretty much every other lane you're not going to start on buffs, which is a really good change, that you should not be able to start on buffs like that. It's a reason why the jungler exists, you know, he's there to do your buffs. Okay, now let's transition to the good. First good will be new god changes. And now what I mean by new, I mean like Thana, Morgan, and Hecate. The old god changes will be coming up, but new god changes are, like I said, Hecate, Thana, and Morgan, which I think they implemented them basically perfectly. Morgan, of course, has like a few bugs. Like it's a one where if you like spam your stun, like the clones will just disappear, and like you'll be walking around with no clones on your side. So people are like, oh, she doesn't have stun up, so why is she walking up to me? I have time to react, but you actually don't, because your stun is actually there. It's just the clones are invisible for some reason. Like I know it was a bug like that on Smite 1. If you jumped and did it, your clones wouldn't show on the side if you were jumping at the same time. So you would literally be able to like jump in the air while still have your stun up, and there wouldn't be any clones on your side, so you could just sneak attack someone because they think you'll be like no threat, but you're coming with a stun. Also, underrated thing is Murden on her. You get a double stun after, so you can stun into 2 into stun again. Immaculate play, immaculate. But pretty much, I love the decoy changes, because now she doesn't like do the whole. I don't think there's not a sound effect anymore for the decoy, and the animation isn't like a shown animation. It's not like, oh yeah, I see her going invis. Like it literally just looks like you just walking. Like I was duped like 3 times in the playtest. Like if you're like really paying attention, you'll know it's her, or you know it's not her. But it's really, really hard. And also it's kind of hard to know which direction she's going if she does it. Because before in Smite 1, it's significantly easier to be like, oh yeah, that Morgan, like be so for real. I see that's not you. If Morgan does it in the bush, it's really strong, because you have no idea if it's her or not. So if you just see a clone walking up to you, you're like, do I want to hit it? Do I really want to get the movement speed penalty by hitting it? And then, well, she didn't give you enough time to think, so now you're actually going to get hit by an invisible Morgan with a stun. Yeah, it's just really fun. The decoy changes. Only slight problem with her is her ult feels a little clunky, but it's probably just you have to get used to it now again in Smite 2, just because it's not exactly the same, but more or less is the same. What's another? Active items, so like your beads and blink, pretty much just those, or your active relics, excuse me. Those I think the changes to those were good. Just having blink good, having beads is good for the game. The only reason why it's not perfect is just add a few more. The only one I like, you can add every other relic, but Aegis. Playing the playtest and like people not being able to Aegis you is so much fun, because it's actually not about, oh, I just hit a button and you have to look at me, right? You have to keep looking at me, or you can run away. It don't matter. You're not gonna kill me. because I Aegis your scythe, I Aegis your stun, I Aegis your mirror wall, or your mirror ult, not wall. That'd be great. Yo, give someone a wall. That's awesome, man. Well, I guess that's your Mojo. But like, I want a huge wall. I guess that could be Odin too. It's more of a circular wall. Okay, never mind. Yeah, never mind. Yeah, I'm gonna stop talking. But yeah, you can add everything but Aegis, just because Aegis is just not fun to play against. It's not like Aegis is not a fun item, nor is it it's not fun for the person using it, and it's not fun for the person going against it. Because for the person using it, you can't really play the game. Like you just walk. Like, it's a walking simulator at that point, right? With Aegis, and as the person going against Aegis, it's just a I guess I gotta wait simulator. It's a list waiting simulator for you, because now you're like, okay, I gotta hold all my abilities. Oh well, I can still be died by the enemy team, so it's risky, right? Because you're like, oh, if their whole team collapses on me right now, I just die because I didn't get the kill and get out. And then, but if you turn, then right when you turn, the Aegis person is pretty much going to be going away. And then, oop, now you have a Morgenstern. Oop, now you just got Thanos scythed. Oop, now you just got your mirror ulted, you know? You know? So it's like, that's the problem with Aegis. So they already have the self shield with the Bloodforge item, and the Book of the Dead. I don't know the actual name of the items yet, but the Book of the Dead, only name I know is Pendulum Blade. But yeah, so that's the change I would make. Just don't make Aegis, but make, you know, like, make fun active relics. Don't just make the exact same. But the ones from Smite 1 I would say you can bring over is, you can bring over Shell, you can bring over, you already got Blink beads. So Blink, Shell, beads, I think that's actually just fine, right there. That's where we should probably stop. I think everything else just wouldn't get as much value, so it's no real point in adding it. Like Sprint, do you really want Sprint over Combat Blink? Do you really want Sprint over Shell? Maybe in some metas. I wouldn't say add Horrific. I think you can add Horrific. But the thing is, I'd rather that be an actual item, because I think, do I even want Shell? Because like, I feel like the point of an active item is for it to be a long cooldown, or active relic. I don't think. Oh, well, I guess there's no reason to like fit a mold into a game that's not even done. Yeah, there's no reason to fit a mold. So I guess, yeah, you could just have a really short cooldown active relic and Shell. Something that, because I don't want Shell to just be a, you can't kill my teammates. Let's not do that again. Let's not just have a, oh yeah, block stacks. You get all this. You get big shield, double your HP bar. You get a Nike ult worth the Shell. So I think don't do that. So yeah, that's what I would do. Teleporters, I think teleporters are good. Just nice and fun things to play with. It actually makes all the lanes interconnected in a way, because mid lane used to be the only lane that was connected to both lanes and had access to going left or right after they clear their wave, so they had the most pressure in mid. But logically, it makes more sense for the solo laner to have the most pressure of rotating, because why? They're the solo laner. They're usually going to be the most farmed, or they should be one of the most farmed, because when's the warrior's best time in the game? It's usually that early to mid game portion, but most of that time is spent in lane. So change that up, and they did by adding teleporters that connect dual lane and solo. So now you, as a solo laner, you can rotate to duo, or you can rotate mid. And the teleporters, instead of just adding like a instant teleport, it takes time to teleport. So it's basically like traveling distance, and you can't just instantly TP back. Like, it's a 30-second timer. So right, if you TP right when you clear the waves, you'll have at least, because it takes like 5 seconds to teleport, I'm pretty sure. Some like, maybe not 5, but like a good amount of seconds. Like, let's just say 5 seconds, because you also got to walk over to the teleporter. So probably it's more like 10 seconds in total to teleport. So let's say 10 seconds in total to teleport. So that's 40 seconds it will take you to teleport and then have your teleport be worn off. So because it's a cooldown for how long you can teleport. So then let's say it's another 5 seconds for you to get back to lane. So that's a 45 seconds. By that time, the enemy solo would have cleared your lane, and you lost a wave to rotating. So you can't just rotate for no reason. You have to actually have purpose in rotating. And also I like these teleporters more just because it doesn't reveal your position. So you're actually able to gank side lanes, and they actually feel more threat on them. It's not just, you're not just gonna have a dual lane carry that just sits in tower the whole game and farms up. Like, they can still sit in tower, but they can't just ward one side. They can't even ward now in general. So that's that. So that kind of also defeats the purpose. But you know, because usually if you're a carry, you always play the far side of the lane, so you're as far away from the jungle entry, just because it actually just takes more time for the jungler to get to you, so it gives you more time to get to your tower. And pretty much if you were going against a carry that knew that, it's pretty much impossible to gank them, especially if they have a movement ability, especially if they're old as movement, like Kachi, Jing, Heim, like pretty much any of those. You just, if they're a good player, you don't fight them, or you don't get to catch them if they're playing halfway of the lane. Like, and that's just a ridiculous thing to say. Oh yeah, if you're playing halfway in the lane, you can't gank. Like, that should be like the, oh yeah, you can gank, but you have to be really good to get a kill territory. But if I can't even attack them and they're halfway extended, yeah, no, that's just ridiculous. But wards aren't a problem anymore, and now they can be attacked from 2 directions, and they just don't know when you're teleporting. So I like the teleporter changes. Now, just like I was talking about wards are going to be in the bad section. For the one purpose, it's a 1 minute ward for a 2 minute cooldown. So you have a half uptime on that. If you were really like maximizing it, which most people aren't going to maximize it. I don't even think I placed probably like maybe 5 wards. No, okay, you know, I'll give myself credit. Maybe 7 to 6 wards across the whole entire playtest. And the only time I've done that is to just see if someone was still in a bush. I don't even know if it gives vision if you put it into a bush. But that's literally all I've done. Just because you're playing Smite pretty much without eyes on the map. Like, because it's just, I find it a little bit annoying that you can't ward in late game team fights. So like firefights, it's just, you don't get to ward. Like, it's, I think for competitive, it's gonna be weird, because you act like anyone that gives like vision will just be super good. Like Heim will be super good. Just being able to see someone 5 seconds longer, I think Heim will have so much value, just because wards are no longer a thing. But his all-seeing eyes can act like pseudo wards, so you know where someone is approximately after they show up on map. They get like an extra 3, is either 3 or 4 seconds that you're able to see which way they go. But yeah, you just don't get enough wards right now. Like, just flat out, you don't get enough wards. Either increase the time of your up ward, which I think is the better option, because I don't want to go back to where you can light up literally the whole fire giant. Like, if your team is coordinated enough, you can highlight the fire giant, that's 1 ward. You can highlight the entries from the solo lane, that's 3 wards. You can highlight the entry from the mid lane, that's 2 wards. And you can highlight the entry from both sides of the jungle, so your side, so that's 5 from the sides of the duel, from the side lanes, and 1 from the fire giant, and that's another 2 from your side. So guess what, that's 7. And then you can highlight the enemy side, so that's 2 more, so that's 9. So now you have 1 more ward to play with. And really, it doesn't really matter where you put that ward. You can put it on that little cusp between like their jungle and the fire, that little wall area where like you can't really see over it, and a lot of people like to sit there and cast abilities. You can put it there, or you can put it like deeper into their jungle, so you see when like they're actually coming out, like at their speed buff, versus like the entry wave, like the end, like a little entry path, like right where red buff is, because usually we put a ward there to see, and you put like a ward closer to like the blue buff area. But you will have like literally 1 more ward to play with than you really need which is ridiculous that you can light up the whole the jungle, and the jungler has like no options to gank because you always just know where they are. And also on top of that, you can have Raven wards and Sentry wards and proximity wards. So, and proximity wards don't even take, I think they don't even count as a ward. So you can literally have 3 wards out technically. So really, if you really want to get into the semantics, you can have 3 wards for 5 people. That's 15 wards. You don't need that many. That was a long rant, but TLDR, make the ward timer longer. Don't increase the amount of wards you get. Just make it longer. Just give you a full cycle. I think it should be 1 minute and 30. So you have 30 seconds of blindness. But yeah, even then, because you already have 1 less ward. So if you're a jungler, all you have to do is, if you have a sentry ward, you can de-ward one of their wards. You can de-ward, or you can ask your carry, hey, de-ward this place so I know they don't have a ward there. And if they do have a ward there, then you can take the other path, or you can take both. But right now, like, you get so little value out of a ward. So little. Like 1 minute of smite is like, it goes by just like that. It really does. That's 2 waves. So that means you're protected for 2 waves, and then the next 2 waves you're not protected. Like that. It's just a little bit insane that you can't even protect yourself for like 3 to 4. Like, I think the perfect spot is double the time, 2 minutes for a 2 minute like to cooldown. So in the grand scheme, you have 100% uptime on wards that you can have. So I think that just makes the most sense to me. But yeah, optimization, that's really bad right now. Like, I'm like, sometimes I'll drop frames by a lot, I'll stutter, but it's not too much. But at the end of the day, it's way more than it is Smite. So just fix that up. And I know some gods still feel a little bit clunky. Like Odin feels clunky to me. Fenrir jump felt clunky. I didn't play him this playtest, but the last 2 playtests he felt a little bit clunky with the jump. But maybe it was just getting used to Smite 2 and how Smite 2 feels. But like the gods that I did play this time, they all felt pretty smooth. So God optimization is getting better. It's not perfect. It's not just quite there yet. There's still like a few like doesn't feel perfect moments, but that's something that you just want to fix by the time that you're in 24/7, because then people aren't gonna want to play, you know. And that's when like a lot of new players are, well, there's already a lot of new players in Smite. It's either new players or just assault mains that are playing in arena mains, because it's kind of ridiculous how much, you know, I'm not gonna say bad, but bad players there are in Smite 2. Like I don't think I lost a single game during the playtest, which is just kind of like not really too fun. Like, it's fun just because it's something new, but if like I was doing that for 24/7, it just would probably get old a little bit fast. So yeah, just better optimization, like stop the stutters. I don't really know how they do that, but just optimize the game a little bit better, and then you'll be good. Now the old god changes are going to be next up. And by what I mean by old, I mean like all the gods added before, like for that first patch. So like the original, I think it was 15, or was it, you know, like the On Her, Odin, Bologna, you know, those gods, Loki, Fenrir, those gods, Ymir, those gods, Athena, those gods, Anubis, those gods, Neith, those gods, CERN. I think that's all of them that were originally, and Zeus. Pretty sure that's actually all of them now. But you know, those people. So just, I guess it was a few changes that it didn't really feel impactful, nor did they feel like themselves. Like, I was playing Loki and I was trying to auto attack cancel and just didn't feel good. It felt really bad. Fenrir auto attack cancel with his 2 did feel great. His 1, like I said, didn't feel great, but his ult feels way better now. It's snappy. Like, if you transform, you can instantly bite someone and pull them back, which I like. So I'd rather them increase the ult timer than to take away the snappiness, because I think snappiness is way more important in like how it feels. other gods that didn't feel great. Um, there was like that little thing with on. It was a little thing with on her. He didn't feel great, but they fixed that, so that's good. Just and also, but more than just like snappiness and like that's pretty much optimization. The kits didn't change too much, and that was like a little bit of a problem because I was like, it's kind of just the same god, just Smite 2. I think like because Mass did a really good video on like listing a whole bunch of changes for characters, but I don't think you should go with his idea because a lot of his ideas were just like, yeah, we're pretty much gonna rework this guy. But I don't think you should rework a character just for the sake of being different. Like there's lots of characters like that, and like so we should rework every Smite character that comes in, and probably not. Like one or two abilities even is a stretch, but just like give them a little bit of that push to make them feel like different. Like Loki 2 could completely blind you instead of just being like a little haze. But I guess you probably want something that the player could feel. So maybe I don't know. Don't have time to cook it up, but yeah. Just probably give them more changes. Now the ugly. Pretty much ugly are gonna go pretty fast. It's not too many. Well, I guess it's 3, but you know, it's not gonna be. It's not something that I doubt will not get fixed. But DCs are just ridiculous. Like every game I played in the alpha playtest 3, I had a DC. Like literally every game, whether it was an instant DC after they died once, an instant DC just because they just loaded into the game wrong and they didn't feel like playing, or they just couldn't load into the game, one of the two. Whether they were getting stomped and were just like, yeah, my team's not surrendering, I don't want to play anymore. Which is fair to some extent, but at the same time, it's like I don't want to play against that, you know. Or people on my team DCing just I don't know, just because. Like literally just because. So it's just a ridiculous amount of DCs. Like I get his alpha, but I don't want to play with DCs. It's just not fun. So just give them bans. Like just get bans into the game. Cause I think if we have bans in the game, it'll just stop 90. No, okay, I'll say it'll stop like probably like 40% of the DCs. Cause some people they DC and they just don't play the game again until like the next playtest or the next day. So bans wouldn't really help that. But pretty much if you DC like 3 times during the playtest, you probably shouldn't play the playtest again, or at least that playtest again, just because you're taking so much fun away. And now like it's one thing if you can't like even load into the game properly, but then you can't play the playtest anyway, so getting banned from the playtest doesn't really affect you. So it really just affects people that are just joining and just leaving as soon as that they're either not having fun or they're just getting stomped. So yeah, just fix that, because that is ridiculous that every single game I played, and I kid you not, I played like 10 games, every single game DC. Another ugly is ending the game is like really hard, mainly, but it's just kind of hard to say why that is. Because it just the DCs. Also, you don't get to take objectives easily. That's another part of the uglies. I'm gonna just include these two together because they kind of go hand in hand. So taking objectives is really hard in Smite 2. It's because like your team rarely groups up for objectives. I don't know if it's just new game and you just want to go burr with your abilities, because we have a lot of arena and assault mains playing with us. But yeah, just fix that. And yeah, that's it.